Okay, grade 10. So for your Globalisation Index project, just a little bit of help as discussed in class. So here I've got all the different people that will be taking my Globalisation Index, where we're going to see the criteria, and along here are the different criteria. So I haven't given you all of them because that's part of your task, but ones we've talked about in class already, about clothes, so maybe how many different countries are my clothes from. So I just put a number in there, 10. So out of 10 pairs of clothes I randomly got from my closet, 10 of them are from 10 different countries. Okay, for person 2 that might be only 6 of them are from different countries, so 6. 4 were from China and the rest were from different countries, and so on. So we might change those going down depending on what our friends or the people we're asking give us, okay, or friend. And then we've got friends, so maybe how many different countries are our friends from. So again, we've got different figures in there we can put in. There we go. Okay, so you've seen these figures changing automatically. Now this is based on the weighting. So for example, clothes, like we've discussed in class, we might say, yeah, it is an indication of globalization, an indication that everyone's getting more globalized, but it shouldn't be weighted as much as other aspects because we haven't really got much choice of buying clothes from abroad due to international trade and comparative advantage that other countries have in terms of producing and manufacturing clothes. So we might just weight it as 0.1. So these are all the different weightings of the categories. If you notice, they all add up to 1. So they all equal 1. Okay, and again, you have to think about your weightings in terms of which are the most important criteria to show you how globalized you and your friends are compared to each other. And again, as long as you're consistent, these can be just individual numbers, or they could be a percentage depending what your criteria is and how you're working it out. So all we did to work out the weighted item was as you can see up here, we did B5, so what the actual number was, times by the weighted the weight we had. So we did 10 times by 0.1. Okay, so over here we can see we did 20 times by 0.3. So that's there. You can see it's highlighted now. So 20 times 0.3. And again, just so you can see exactly the same, we did 5 times by 0.2. And then over here we just added all of these criteria together, these weighted sums, to get a final index of 8.12. So once you've worked out those indexes, we can make a graph out of these aspects. Okay, and because we've worked the individual weightings out, we could do a mini bar for each one. Okay, have a look on YouTube on how to do graphs and stuff. If there's any issues, I will do another video to show you how we can do a graph from this data. But think about the indexes you've been shown in class. Now, I know some of you, your indexes are going to be a little bit more complicated than this, which is good because you've thought about subcategories. So if we click onto the next page, we've still got the same elements up here really. Okay, apart from, you can see we've changed to countries. So here we had countries lived in, but some of you have gone, well, actually there's different criteria we could maybe put under countries or culture or something. So maybe in this one, as you can see, for countries we've got some subcategories. So for example, we've gone, right, okay, we're not only are we going to assess countries we've lived in, we're going to assess countries we've visited, and each of these subcategories have also got a weighting. So for example, we're saying, well, actually you're going to be more globalized if you've lived in more countries rather than just visited them. So therefore it's weighted as 0.7, where just visited is still important. It shows that we're being affected by different cultures. So therefore we're going to weight it at 0.3. So for example, if I have lived in 3 countries, we weight it exactly the same. We do the 3, as you can see here. If we click on here, the 3 times by the 0.7, okay, and that gives us a 2.1. Here we do the 21 times by the 0.3, as you can see, C17 times C15, and that gives us a 6.3. And over here we actually add these two aspects up to 8.4, and you can do that for each person. But then this is where you can put it up to the top level. So this 8.4 now appears here. Okay, so I've got the numbers rounded down. So if I go to format cells and then number decimal places, okay, there you go, we can see it's 8.4 now. So press OK, and all I've done there is gone equals D18. So whatever this figure is going to be the same as this down here, and I've done exactly the same for person 2. It's 5.6. so this is rounded up, so I need to change the format again to 2 decimal places. There we go, 5.6. okay, and I've just put equals D20, so this equals D20. So now we still have to work out the overall weighting for the countries category. Okay, so now we've worked out the figure for the countries by working out the different subcategories, 8.4. We now do exactly the same as we did before. As you can see, we do 8.4 times by 0.2, which is the weighted for the entire category as a whole in there. And again, if you had another category, so for example friends, we could maybe split that down into subcategories: social network, contact at least once a month, see on a daily basis. Okay, so again, it depends how in depth you want to get it, but as we saw, the different global indexes that we looked at had overall categories, for example economic, and then underneath economic it had things like the GDP, the number of multinational businesses in there, and they were the subcategories like we have done down here, and then they were all rolled up into the main one category, so 8.4, and then we worked out the weighting for that. Okay, right, again, the only thing I haven't shown you is how to put it in graphs. Okay, so if we pressed on insert, we could do a column graph and so forth, but I say there's plenty of tutorials out there on YouTube on how to do graphs in Excel. I'll leave it up to you. Hope that was useful. Bye bye. Okay, just hang on just 1 minute just before you go. Remember, there's lots of different ways you could potentially do this. Okay, so if you've come up with a better solution, or a solution that works better for you, maybe some friends or family have helped you with this, potentially that's equally as good. But this is a simple way to get you started and thinking about how you can come up with an index. And as you can see on there, person 1 is the most global, and person 3 and 4 are equally the least global in my index. And obviously we can construct a graph, as I've said, but in terms of, so we could do one bar chart that just shows the headline figures, but I think it would be better if you had a bar chart that included each of these criteria, so we can see which ones have the biggest impact. Okay, right, bye bye for now. for sure.